Yo, yo, yo. I think I am okay with this volume. So let's let's get into it. Full disclosure, I don't remember all of the voices I was doing. I remember a handful, maybe. Well, I understand you are the judicial assistant to the defense. But why this sudden ingress into my courtroom?
Huh? A judicial assistant? And a woman, no less.
I feel like I want his voice to be more like nasally, but I just can't do it for some reason.
Yeah, the rules state that females are not permitted into this court of law other than to testify.
Yes, I fully understand. I only ask for 5 minutes of time. I have some vital evidence that I must hand over to the defense.
Ah, you're too late, little girl.
This trial has already been concluded. 5 minutes. I will not allow a moment more.
But your excellency.
I am most grateful. Who exactly are you? I'm sorry, there's no time. Please simply accept this for now. What is it, a report about something written in English? It's Giselle Brett's research. The Englishwoman's. After the trial resumed earlier, I hurried back to the university. I went to Dr. Wilson's laboratory in the medical faculty and borrowed this paper. Oh yes, that's right. Miss Brett was studying under the professor, wasn't she? So does this research, whatever it is, have something to do with the case? I'm afraid I don't know. I haven't been able to listen to the proceedings of the trial myself. Oh no, of course not. Special characteristics of curare and its effects on human subjects. Interesting. Curare? What's that?
Time's up. The prosecution demands the immediate removal of this female trespasser from the courtroom.
There was too little time for me to read it in detail, but I've summarized what I could on a note just inside the cover. If you think it could be valuable, please cast your eye over it. This is wonderful, thank you. Goodbye then and good luck. Let's read that right now. A poison made from the bark of certain trees in the jungles of South America. The hunters of the region have used it since ancient times to incapacitate their prey. Effects: instant paralysis of the entire body and subsequent death, even in minute doses. Route of entry: the above-mentioned effects occur when the poison enters the body through a wound, such as that inflicted by a blowpipe dart. Practical applications: due to its ability to render the human body paralytic, it's believed that the toxin could have application as an anesthetic. However, a solution for the respiratory arrest caused as a result of the full body paralysis must be found first, or patients would die of suffocation. Yeah, that would be a problem with this anesthetic. Goodbye then, and good luck. You have had long enough, Counsel. We cannot detain our English guest any longer. I ask the prosecution and the defense now one last time. Does either side have any further evidence to present to the court? I presume not, but...
The prosecution has made its case convincingly enough already. Nothing more to add, Your Excellency.
Ryunosuke, we're out of options here. This really is our very last chance. Yes, I know. Your Excellency, the defense does have new evidence. That look. The unyielding stare of a true Japanese warrior. Uh-huh. Well, Miss Brett?
Yes, Your Excellency.
If you wouldn't mind, perhaps you could grace us with your presence a little longer.
It's a delightful invitation, but I'm afraid it's not so very long until tea time. I'll have to politely decline.
Forgive me, Miss Brett. It seems I wasn't clear. I realize it was phrased as a question, however. I must ask you to treat that as an order.
I've said it many times before, but the Japanese language makes no sense.
My apologies, dear lady. So, counsel, what is the new evidence that demands the court's attention?
Yes.
Miss Jesely Brett, we understand you were studying under Dr. Wilson at the Yume University doing research. Research, by sheer coincidence perhaps, into a deadly poison.
What?
Poison? Where are you going with this, counsel? A toxin known as curare, Your Excellency. Or curar? I don't know. Even the slightest amount of this deadly poison entering the body leads to instant death.
Objection!
What? What complete and utter nonsense. Curare, you say? I've never even heard of it.
You wouldn't have done.
What do you mean?
I mean that you wouldn't have heard of curare before for one very simple reason. It doesn't exist in our country. It doesn't exist? Correct, which means no matter what tests the police can do for toxins, they'd never identify curare. Why? Because there is no test available here that can identify the presence of this highly deadly poison.
What?
Counsel, did this deadly poison truly exist? According to this report authored by the visiting student from England, curare has long been used by the tribespeople of South America as a poison to lace their arrows. It seems that it's reasonably well known among European doctors and scientists.
To lace their arrows?
The report states that it's produced from the extract of a tree that grows deep in the Amazonian jungle. It was first brought back to Europe at the turn of the century by explorers. It claims that animals shot by arrows laced with curare suffer instant death. Doesn't that about sum it up, Miss Brett?
Objection!
Trumpery. These aspersions are utterly trumpery. To start with. Yeah. If the victim had been administered some of this so-called deadly poison, he would have been squirming and writhing in pain, and the other diners would have surely noticed.
That's true. What do you say to that, Inspector?
Obviously, I would have noticed a disturbance like that.
I don't remember anything like that either. I didn't notice the professor being in any kind of pain. It says in there they suffer paralysis. According to this, however, it's the other way around. Kazuma gets it.
What do you mean the other way around?
The very fact that the victim didn't show any visible signs of distress is evidence that curare was used.
Explain yourself, Counsel.
The moment this toxin enters a person's system, it causes instant paralysis. In other words, afflicted victims lose all strength and are completely unable to move. Even if they were in total agony, there would be no visible signs of pain at all.
How terrible.
Obviously, if a man lost all strength in his muscle, he'd collapse on the floor. But with a chair under him for support, as Dr. Wilson did, the effects could go largely unnoticed. But I don't follow, Kazuma. That's just paralysis. I thought the poison caused instant death. The full explanation is extremely unpleasant. The poison causes immediate paralysis, as I said, leaving the victim unable to move. But after a short time, the paralysis is so severe it causes the muscles that control respiration to fail. Respiration? In other words, the actual cause of death is suffocation. And all the while the victim is conscious and aware, just unable to move.
That's hideous.
To the observer, it would look almost like the victim was slipping peacefully into an endless sleep. But for the victim himself, his final moments would be a living hell. That is the true nature of this deadly curare poison.
And you're suggesting that this bottle, Counsel, actually contains this terrifying poison?
This is all very convenient, isn't it? A hitherto unknown poison for which there is no means of testing. What a happy tale for the defense.
If I may.
All these facts, you think you're so clever, but you must be...
It is you who must be taught.
Of course. Dear lady...
So, this is how you Japanese behave, is it?
What?
You steal another's honest hard work and then announce the results as if you discovered them. I'm appalled. What a loathsome act.
Well, Miss Brett, the feeling is mutual.
Whatever do you mean?
Capitalizing on the unfortunate circumstances of an innocent man to frame him for a heinous crime? That really is a loathsome act. Wouldn't you agree?
Enough of this. I, for one, refuse to accept it. The idea of some poison that doesn't even exist in the great empire of Japan is breaking the rules.
Ha 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 ha.
What's so funny?
Excuse me, Your Excellency.
Yes, Miss Brett?
May I borrow that bottle for a moment, please?
Well, yes, I don't see why not.
Sorry. To an Englishwoman such as myself, this whole affair is a farcical comedy. Your little police games and these foolish courtroom antics, it's laughable, really. But I'm getting bored of it all now. It's time for the games to end. Cheers. Wait, what are you doing? No sparkle left at all. How appropriate for this shabby affair. I mean, couldn't it have, like, had a weird interaction with his anesthetic or something, too? Goodness. Whatever is the matter? You all look quite stunned. So, no curare. The bottle was clean, is that what you're saying? Ha 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 ha. You look quite incredulous, little boy, but of course. That's the simple truth. Thank you for presenting the findings of my research so concisely here in this grand venue, most kind. Thank you, waiter. Now then, Your Excellency. Yes, Miss Brett. I should like to be excused now, please. I think I've given more than enough of my time for the furtherance of friendship between our countries. Oh yes, dear lady. We are most gratified with all the assistance you have given. That doesn't make sense. There had to have been poison in that bottle. So how did she swallow a whole glass and live to tell the tale? What if the poison was in the glass and not the bottle? I don't understand it. Well, I suppose if nothing else, this little Far Eastern charade will make for interesting conversation at the next party I attend in London. There has to have been poison in that bottle, doesn't there? The glass! But there can't have been, because otherwise she would have keeled over dead. Contains no poison. As I thought, there is no poison in that bottle. Isn't it obvious? If there was poison in there, she'd be dead by now. Sometimes your unadulterated naivete really astounds me, but sometimes it's in need of a good staining. Till it's as dark as your uniform. That was a guileless ending to a promising line of ink. This whole trial is poisoned. I guess it contains poison. Silly me for thinking the logical thing, that she just poisoned his glass, and that's why she took his glass. Culprit did put curare poison into Dr. Wilson's carbonated water. The defense refuses to change its position. You're serious?
Fool, are you blind? There is no possible way the bottle could contain poison. I mean, we just saw
Miss Brett drinking the water from it. That's right, which rather complicates your argument, I think. And I believe that complication can be explained.
How exactly?
You need to think through all the things that don't quite add up here, one by one. I'm sure the answer in the evidence we have in the court record somewhere it has to be. Very well. If the defense truly intends to assert this claim, then I must ask you to support the assertion with evidence. What explains how the witness was able to consume the supposedly poisoned water unscathed?
I guess this says through a wound.
Yes.
The answer to this riddle is right here in Miss Brett's own research report.
That's not a valid explanation.
No.
After all, we don't speak English. That report is utter gibberish. Those impudent young scoundrels trying to ridicule the court, Your Excellency.
I'm not trying to ridicule anyone, honest. I'm just reading Susano-san's notes. I concur. This report is too extensive to be considered in its entirety by the court. You will direct this to the pertinent section council. Which section reveals the alleged answer to this riddle? Special characteristics. We've been hearing a lot about this curare poison, and it's left me curious about something. Oh, counsel. Well, it sounds as though the indigenous hunters have been using this poison for years and years to lace the heads of arrows that they shoot at whatever prey they're hunting. So we've been led to believe, yes. And the point of hunting is to catch prey to eat.
Get to the point, please.
But if they were to use these laced arrows, does that mean there would be traces of poisons traces of poison left in the prey the hunters were going to eat? Yes, good point. So surely the hunters wouldn't want to eat their prey, would they? Because then they'd be eating poison. Good gracious, counsel. No, that would be madness. But I actually found the answer to that conundrum in this research paper here. Under special characteristics, it says this. The poison starts to work after entering the body through a wound. He just had dental surgery. Through a wound, you say? That makes sense. Yes, the mention of that particular detail seemed a little strange to me. But it all makes sense when you interpret what's written like this. When the curare enters the body through an open wound, it has terrifying poisonous effects. However, when it enters the body via the mouth, it has no poisonous effects whatsoever.
What?
Miss Brett, you authored this research. You knew curare's special characteristics, and you knew that you could make a spectacle of drinking the water without any danger to yourself. You meddling little
rapscallion.
Her hat is a bird. Why is her hat a bird? Well, Ryunosuke, it turns out you're an even better lawyer than I thought you'd be. Really? Me? A lawyer?
This poison talk is fascinating, I'm sure, but I fail to see how it possibly...
So, the ill-bred little puppy has a new toy to play with. Some facts he read in a book. But I'm afraid knowledge doesn't suit you, little boy. It only makes you look silly, unlike me, with my bird on my hat. That is totally cool and normal. What are you trying to say? Your schoolboyish logic has a fatal flaw. Schoolboyish? Flaw? As even your brain has managed to deduce, curare is safe to ingest. It seems likely that its effects are neutralized by the acidic nature of the gastric succus. Oh, yes, well, of course. Gastric suckers, what are they?
So, this lethal poison is completely harmless when drunk. The professor wouldn't have died when he swallowed it, would he? Ah, the dental surgery. I get this one.
That's right.
Good gracious. That's basic science. Science that even a schoolboy should be able to understand, no? Order, order. In court, order. The logic holds. If the lady and the professor drank the same poison, they would be affected in the same way. Are you trying to suggest?
Yes, this curare poison is completely irrelevant to the case on trial.
That's right. Surely even a little cockroach like you could understand something as simple as that. Check out this cool bird on my head. Oh? What is this welling up inside me? I've never felt like this before. It's a sort of conviction to break down all the discrepancies. It's so intense, almost rage-like. And more than anything else, it's an animalistic desire to take down my prey. Jesus.
Objection.
I don't think so, Miss Jezily Brett. How dare you use that tone with me? Now my eyes are very big. You know very well that there is no fatal flaw here. You know exactly why, even though both you and the victim swallowed the same poison, you are alive, but Dr. Wilson is dead. Counsel, I'm sure I don't need to remind you, you must provide compelling evidence. As we now know that this poison is completely harmless when ingested, why would Dr. Wilson alone have been cured by curare? Because he was at the dentist! As Miss Brett so readily pointed out, she drank the same water as the professor. However, there was a fundamental and fatal difference between the two diners. A fatal difference? The toxic effects of curare are only felt when the poison enters the body through an open wound, so for a healthy person with no injuries, drinking it is completely harmless. But what if there was a wound inside the mouth of the person drinking the poisoned water?
Inside?
Yes, like the wound you might have if you had just been to the dentist and had a tooth extracted, for example.
Ah.
Oh! Miss Brett, you've acknowledged many times in your testimony already that you were well aware of Dr. Wilson's dental appointment that day. Oh! So that's it. You used that knowledge to orchestrate this. Is she laughing? I don't like to repeat myself, but honestly, I can't resist. These childish courtroom games and your half-baked arguments are all so puerile. What do you mean? Don't worry, little schoolboy. You'll find out soon enough. You see, when you leave vital evidence laying around, you never know what might happen to it. No. I mean, it could just slip. Oh dear, how careless of me. I'm afraid some crucial evidence may have just been tragically destroyed. Isn't that like a crime in and of itself? Destruction of evidence or tampering with evidence? No! Officer, what are you waiting for? Collect up as much of the water from that broken bottle at once. You're wasting time. This delightful carpet under my feet here was a gift from the British Empire. I assure you it will soak up the water beautifully. You have neither the technology nor presence of mind to recover it. Ah ha ha! How could you? You won't get away with this. You can thump the bench and shout as much as you like, little boy. But I'm afraid we'll never know now, will we, if there really was poison in the bottle or not. You. And let us not forget, we still have some very compelling evidence left intact. Isn't that right, counsel for the prosecution?
Yeah, of course, of course. You're referring to this photographic print, I presume, dear lady. That's it.
That's right, and really looking at this photograph, it's as clear as day, isn't it? The poor professor was sitting with his back to me. So of course the only person who could have shot him from the front is the little schoolboy. No, you killed the victim that day, using curare. And then, in order to frame Ryunosuke Naruhodo for the crime, you waited until he picked up the pistol you'd arranged for him to find on the floor, before you shot the professor's dead body in the chest with your own hidden gun. Then, in the confusion that followed, all you had to do was turn the dead professor in his chair around. See, you had every opportunity to commit this crime. What a wonderful imagination you have, young man. A hidden gun, you say, and I shot the professor's dead body, did I? Well, I'm terribly sorry, but you don't have a shred of evidence.
Exactly. And as you have nothing to support your wild claims, the prosecution's stance remains unchanged. The victim, Dr. John H. Wilson, was killed by gunshot to the chest.
Okay, since we're clearly operating on not actual courtroom logic, we're tampering with evidence. Or, like, we're destroying the evidence in front of the court would be basically an admission. I don't know. She should either be arrested for tampering with evidence for destroying the bottle, like, clearly willingly, or, if we're gonna go on fantasy moon logic anyway, just take the destruction of the bottle as a confession of guilt.
Delivering in cold blood by the accused Ryunosuke Naruhodo.
Ugh. This is unbelievable. How can this be happening? We had her, but now, is she really going to get away with it? The way she destroyed that evidence was obscene. Ryunosuke, yes. We've come this far, but now he's the only one who can finish it. What? What do you mean? We've lost a vital piece of evidence, it's true. So if there are any clues left for us to use now, they must be in your head. In my head? You told me before that your powers of observation were the one thing you could really depend upon. Well, yes, that's true, but I didn't manage to know that this woman was a foreigner with a swan on her head. So think back again now. Try to remember every last detail about the scene that day. Everything you saw, everything you felt, every color, every smell. What I saw, what I felt. Every color. Is Cosmo right? Somewhere in the vibrant memory of the same scene in my head. Would there be another clue to expose the identity of Dr. Wilson's killer? I mean, there's blood on that plate. Actually, Cosmo, I think I might have something. Thinking back over everything I saw, I think I might have uncovered another clue. Haha, you always have something up your sleeve, don't you, Ryunosuke? Come on, then. Let's wipe that smug smile off the Englishwoman's face with some evidence! Alright, I can't wait. It's been niggling me for a while that something feels amiss in my memories of the day. Whatever it is could be the key to arriving at the truth about all this. It's here somewhere. The clue that shows who Dr. Wilson's real killer must have been. I wonder if it's the blood on the plate.
Inspector Hosanaga, answer me this. Yes? What is it? He's still miles away, probably thinking about that bottle being smashed. As you've said a number of times now, you strive for perfection in your investigations, don't you? Absolutely. I wonder, therefore, if perhaps you took anything else from the scene of the crime. Like, for instance, the plate of steak you took from the victim's table that day. Or to the victim's table that day.
Wait a minute. Where are you going with this?
Where are you going with this, little boy? It's just a memory that's been troubling me. What memory? I saw the scenes shown in this photographic print with my own eyes that day. And I saw that on the wooden base of the plate that the steak was served on was a spattering of blood.
What?
Oh, really? And what of it? Obviously, that must have happened when you shot the professor. No, that can't be the case. Take a good look at the photograph and the relative position of everything there. The plate of steak is almost directly behind the victim. If I'm supposed to have shot Dr. Wilson in the chest from the front, there's no way the blood from the victim could have ended up directly behind him, unless the bullet went through, but... yes. For blood to have made it onto the plate, it implies the plate was between the victim and the shooter. Which means the shooter must have been sitting opposite the professor, as you were. Jezzaly Brett. I beg your pardon?
This is beyond ridiculous, fabricated nonsense. Is the court seriously expected to believe something the accused had just apparently remembered seeing?
This could be the moment that my entire career in the police force has been leading to. Inspector, you mean? Yes, I took the plate. In the interest of preserving evidence from the scene of the crime, I took it, meat and all, but I don't care if they call me a crime scene thief because of it. You did what? I took the steak that you had been eating, Miss Brett. I took the steak that the sergeant had been eating. And I did it all in the name of justice. Then we can find out for sure whether or not there's a blood stain on Miss Brett's plate. We must examine it now. Inspector, the court wishes to examine the plate from the victim's table immediately. Yes, sir. Sorry for the delay. Here is what you ordered, the steak. Well, what about the blood? Is there blood on it?
Of course there isn't.
Quickly, Inspector. The blood, man. Show us the court. Of course. Examine the plate at your leisure. No blood. But no, that's impossible! I know I saw it. I'm sure of it. It was right there on the table behind the professor. There was blood on the side of the plate. What an unbecoming expression, little boy. You see. SC Kid, welcome to the chat. Apparently the kind of courtroom that lets key witnesses destroy evidence with no consequences, and that same witness have a bird on their head. You see, this is why I always say you can't trust what the Japanese tell you. Also, I guess racism in their own courtroom is fine.
Tusk, tusk, I couldn't agree more. In the case of this disgrace to the Empire.
I believe we may have reached a conclusion in this trial. Let's hope so. This let's pretend attempt at courtroom proceedings is painful to watch. But I do promise to do my best to forget all about it when it's over.
This sorry-looking steak reveals the facts all too clearly. If the sorry-looking accused wishes to examine it again, be my guest. Oh.
The plate of steak has been entered into the court record. Was the plate I saw, or thought I saw, just a figment of my imagination? Let's investigate it and find out. Let's see. This emblem on the side of the plate. Is it a cat? It's a cow, obviously. Most likely because the restaurant's signature dish is beef steak. It seems a lot like... It seems a lot of different restaurants have their own unique tableware. So this is the symbol of La Carnival, is it? Huh? What in the world is this? Is this that coin that old man lost? I think it's a Koban coin, and the hallmark is from the Hoei era, I believe. It is that coin the old man was looking for. Last week on stream, one of the witnesses was some old guy who kept talking about how he was looking for his missing coin. No, I don't mean what is it, I mean what's it doing there? Wait, did you say it was a Hoei Koban? Yes, and apart from the meat juices, it looks to be in good condition. I imagine it's very valuable. This isn't the first time today that there's been talk of a Hoei Koban. Heard of pearls before swine, but I've never heard of bullion and bouillon. Ayy. And I don't think you ever will again. This is extraordinary though. This means that the steak was on the floor, I guess? I certainly never expected to find a precious coin under this thick cut of meat, and it's from the Hoei era too. That would make it really quite valuable. It's well marinated in the juices as well, look. What, are you thinking of eating it? No. But the next time I order a steak in an expensive restaurant, one thing's for sure. My heart's gonna be racing as I lift up the meat and peer underneath for a prize. I think you might have the wrong end of the stick about this Ryunosuke. A Koban coin underneath the stick, there's only one logical explanation. So the steak is relevant because the person who died was poisoned or shot, but poisoned. Maybe I should just give a rundown of the case from the beginning. We have been accused of shooting the professor, one of the professors at our university. He was eating dinner with the person with the funny bird hat that's been on the witness stand. She ate a steak. He did not eat anything because he was in dental surgery, but he did drink water. And the water was poisoned with a special poison that, whatchamacallit. The poison only works if it enters your body through a wound. You can eat it just fine. Well, my internet is being slow. Let me try something to fix that. This has worked the last couple times I've tried it. Okay. I think we're at least relatively back. I'm gonna keep going. So, he was probably poisoned, right? Through the water. The witness on the stand just destroyed the water bottle before we could test for the poison that she used. And so now we have brought in this stake because our character remembers at the scene of the crime seeing blood on the stake plate. But as you can see, there is no blood on this stake plate. And so that's where we're at now. We have to show that this stake that was at the scene of the crime is connected to the crime. Hopefully that catches us up. Yeah, here it says the meal Miss Brett, that's the witness, ordered for lunch. It was removed from the victim's table after the incident. Let me see. Is there anything else I can do to help? I exit some stuff. Very reasonable, very rational. It's only, you know, probably like a million violations of law. Was the plate I saw or thought I saw just a figment of my imagination? This is it now. I've lost. Ryunosuke. It's not over yet. Not until the final gavel. Hmm? Never stop believing in yourself. Keep looking forward no matter what. Believe in myself? Really? Maybe I should at least examine the evidence for myself. As the evidence requested by the defense has not been shown to be problematic in any way, I presume any further examination of the evidence in this trial will be unnecessary. Wait, there's a cool coin underneath it. Okay, I think we are functioning normally again. Does the defense have any objection? That bloodstain was going to clinch the trial for me. Can this plate of steak reveal any other clues at all? There's another clue. Your Excellency, please wait. This plate of beef is hiding another clue. Another clue that will reveal the shocking truth.
The only thing that's shocking here is your unhealthy fascination with beefsteak. It's really bad for your cholesterol, and I think, I don't know, I just know red meat is supposed to be really bad for stuff. Your Excellency, I think I've made myself clear, haven't I? My British voice is mixing with my Southern voice. I will not be able to turn a blind eye to any more unnecessary procrastination in this trial.
I'm sorry, Miss Brett, but we must ensure a thorough examination of the evidence. I will not give a ruling until I'm completely satisfied that All reasonable doubt has been dispelled. Yo, we just got this steak sitting right next to her. She has already destroyed a bottle. Why are we not, like, keeping her off to the side a little more or something like that? I see. As a newly affirmed ally of my country, that's still your position, is it? Is she like the Queen of England? What pull does she have? Thank you, Your Excellency. Counsel for the defense, you will now clearly show the court to what you are alluding. Where precisely on this beefsteak is this new clue to be found? Underneath the beefsteak. Huh? What in the world is this? Wait, we already saw this. Can I not skip this? Hoei Koban. Bullion and bullion.
Got it!
Present the coin. Good gracious, that's...
A Koban?
What on earth? Oh, everyone, that. Miss Brett, this is in fact the beefsteak you ordered on the... This is in fact the beefsteak that you ordered at the restaurant on the day in question, is it? Tell me, why is there an old coin seemingly hidden underneath the meat? What a ridiculous question, how should I know? I've never seen that thing before in my life. I don't know what this is, but I want no part of it.
I fail to see how this is relevant. A coin under the meat?
That could simply have been a careless mistake by the chef in a moment of distraction. Oh, I dropped my priceless ancient coin underneath the guest's meat. Oh well.
Objection!
Don't be absurd. We're supposed to believe this happened by accident in the kitchen? A rare Hoei Koban just happened to be hidden underneath the piece of steak. If this turns out to be irrelevant to the case, I'll rip up my ticket to Great Britain right now. He's right, it can't be a coincidence. Your Excellency. Yes, Counsel? A rare Hoei Koban just happens to be hidden underneath that piece of steak. If this turns out to be irrelevant to the case, I'll give up my lawyer job right now. The job I didn't have before this trial. I'll give it up right now.
By all means, don't let us stop you. No one invited you anyway.
Jeez. Perhaps, little boy, you should realize that it is you who is irrelevant. Even though I'm the one on trial here. The point is, it's essential that we ask the owner of this coin if he can explain what it's doing under that steak. The owner? Yes, it's obvious. There's only one person it can belong to. The owner of the Koban that was found underneath the beef steak is this old man whose voice I am going to struggle to do again. Obviously, it can only be the antiques dealer and owner of Rasute, Curio Korakuta-san. Curie, as in Mr. Cucumber something? Honestly, these ridiculous Japanese names are quite unfathomable. I will say, it's very in character of this British person to be just saying racist things at people in their own country, in their own courtroom. Oh, yes. The old man who testified earlier alongside the military sergeant, correct? Yes, Your Excellency. I remember him saying that he was up to something with his Koban coin when it happened. At exactly the moment the gun was fired.
The gunshot interested me not. I was far too busy on the floor.
My old man voice is not quite up to snuff today. Too busy on the floor. Sorry, what were you doing?
Hunting for treasure.
There we go. That's a little better. That's maybe more of like a Yoda without the talking backwards, but it's something.
Indeed, the Harry Arakoban, my prized coin.
It's like Yoda and Gollum. I'm like flip-flopping between the two. Then this Hoey Arakoban. Do you mean to tell me?
Objection!
No. Please. Why would Korikuta-san's koban be sandwiched between the victim's beefsteak and its plate? It makes no sense.
First of all, we already established this is not the victim's beefsteak. It is the killer's.
Yes!
Which is why I'm asking to bring Korikuta-san back to the witness stand so we can ask him. Officer? Bring back both witnesses that testified earlier back in here. Without a moment's delay. I can't believe we've come back around to that pair again. But I have a hunch, a strong hunch, that if we chase down the real significance of this Koban, we'll find that it's a key element in the case. This is a long witness stand.
What's all this about?
Why have I been called up again?
Don't you realize it's dinner time for little baby Ido?
When my son's belly is empty, he's fiercer than a pack of wolves, Private.
Exploited by the police we were, like miserable dogs, forced to bear false witness. And when cast from this courtroom myself, I became a ruined man in a trice, a worthless, withered antique. Nothing more have I to say. The sun has set on this Rasute shop's owner's existence.
Be that as it may, Korikuta-san, something has come to light that requires your clarification. As far as your Rasute memory serves.
Yeah, that's it. That's the one, the very exact one that it is. The resplendent, splendiferous Howie treasure that my rusty bones managed to misplace that fateful day. Yeah, it can't be.
As I thought.
Young man. And let this decrepit old fool put me out of my misery. Where was my treasure? Where was it dropped?
Oh, I'm not sure if it was dropped anywhere. We found your coin sandwiched between a beefsteak and its plate, soaking in the seasoned meat's juices.
Sandwiched? Soaking? Seriously?
Clearly it couldn't have fallen in there by accident, which means somebody must have hidden it there on purpose.
Somebody concealed my holy treasure between a slab of meat and a metal plate.
That's the voice I was doing. I found it.
Who would do such a thing? Such an unconscionable thing.
Excuse me. Could I say something? Yes, of course. Proceed, Inspector Hosanaga. I mentioned this earlier in the trial, but I was working undercover in that restaurant in order to investigate another case.
Yes, that's right. The secret undercover operation.
La Carnival is a high-class Western cuisine restaurant. It attracts wealthy diners, including many foreigners. Recently, there's been a run of similarly executed thefts targeting the restaurant's rich clientele. Excuse me. A number of such incidents have been reported to the police bureau. Wicked crimes indeed. We wanted to nip the case in the bud quickly, especially with so many foreigners being affected.
So that's why you were sent in undercover, is it?
Yes. I took on the job of waiter at the restaurant in order to flush out the criminal. It seems likely that this Koban incident is the work of the same thief.
So unbeknownst to us, there was a master thief at work in the restaurant on a regular basis. The place was already the scene of several crimes, it seems. I don't know about the master thief part, but the identity of the person who stole and hid chorus Kuta-san's Koban is all too clear.
What? What?
I think the court would like to hear the defense's view on this matter. Tell us, who is the despicable scoundrel that stole Korakuta-san's Soban? Korakuta-san's Koban and hid it under the steak. Well, I feel like it would have to be her, right? It was her steak.
Take that!
Yes, seems like a likely candidate for a Koban thief. No, come on, Rinosuke. What? You shocked me, Kazuma. Not as much as you shocked me. No one could have approached the table unnoticed. Even if you're a crazy fool, you couldn't have missed that. I'm sure you should be calling Korakuta-san a crazy fool. It's you who I'm calling the crazy fool. Maybe I'm on the wrong track here. I don't believe I can have heard you correctly, Counsel. Let me hear your opinion on this matter again. I guess it must have been... No, sir.
Take that!
Obviously, it can only be you. Sergeant Ieyesa Nosa. What? How? How dare you? You monster! All of my voices are either turning into like southern accents, British accents, or just me. I stole that Koban, did I? I'm the master thief of Le Carnival, am I? You're seriously accusing me of the crimes, cadet? But it wasn't me. It was Ido. Ido is the mastermind behind all this. Blaming your baby, dude? You would push the blame for your crimes onto your own son, an innocent little baby. It's you who's the monster, Sergeant Nosa. Whoa. Clippity clop, clippity clop, clippity clop, clippity clop. Gah. Uh-huh. Nippon Imperial Army, Sergeant Ieyesa Nosa, prepared to stand down in the Supreme Court, sir. His mustache is very Waluigi right now. Or maybe Wario. Do any of you know of the extraordinarily low wages of the Nippon Imperial Army pays those it expects to keep our country safe? I understand that the temporary increase in taxation, owing to the recently ended conflicts, remains in place. And I have heard it's hard for lower-ranking soldiers to make a living, yes. All I want is to put a hot meal on the table for my son. That's why you were stealing things at the restaurant? That place is heaving with money. Every 3 days, I'd go there and do reconnaissance for a target. And I'd enjoy chopping my way through a good steak at the same time. It's supposed to be like a really fancy, expensive restaurant, though. Wouldn't you be, like, eating half of what you earn from stealing? Sounds like he doesn't bother with a knife and fork even, which is worryingly believable. And your target that day was the old man in his koban? Yes, sir. He was an easy mark. I slipped the coin into my pocket without any trouble at all.
A veritable phantom thief you are.
I was all set to leave the steak. I was halfway through devouring when it happened. Yes, when the professor was shot. I knew that if the police conducted a search and found the coin in my pocket, I'd be finished. I'd do too. So I hid the incriminating evidence as fast as I could, on the double. I slipped it under the steak, hoping that I'd be able to rendezvous with it again at a later date. This is ridiculous. Perhaps you could carry on with this absurd prattling in your own time. Well, Miss Brett?
Of course, dear lady, of course. How rude of us. I'm quite sure there's no need to detain you any longer at all.
This guy.
May the esteemed gentlewoman please be excused, Your Excellency.
Indeed. The theft of the koban was clearly perpetrated by this babysatted sergeant, who would certainly appear to be unrelated to Dr. Wilson's murder. Of course it is. Hiding a coin under a lump of meat? The sheer nonsense of such an idea astounds me. Nonsense, is it? Oh, well, oof. As for picking up your steak and biting into it without using a knife and fork, it's beyond nonsense, it's pure madness. Very well. And now that all questions concerning the witness testimony have been answered, I see no further justification for containing her. Ms. Brett, you are free to leave. Thank you, Your Excellency. Good luck, everyone. Hold it. And good day. Hold it. Hold it. It is so obvious they switched the stakes. Ryunosuke, what's the matter with you? This is no time for daydreaming. Thank you, Kazuma. Oh no, it's just something about Miss Brett's parting words there got me thinking. Can't quite work out what exactly, but something she said just jarred with me. I feel like there was a contradiction in there somewhere. Something didn't quite add up. If that's the case, don't just stand there thinking, make your voice heard. Sorry. You can think later, but if you don't call out now, it'll be too late. Trial will be over.
Hold it!
Hold it! There we go. Wait, Miss Brett. What is it now? I'm afraid, just one last time, there's something I'd like to ask you. I'd like you to explain the contradictions in your parting words from just a moment ago. What are you talking about? What contradiction?
What new student nonsense is this?
Well, what parting words are you talking about, Ryunosuke? Hiding a coin under a lump of meat. The sheer nonsense of such an idea astounds me. And as for picking up your steak and biting into it without using a knife and fork, it's beyond nonsense. It's pure madness. Yes, I'm right. What she said there exposed an undeniable contradiction. I'm gonna need to see evidence, counsel. If Miss Brett's words are truly contradictory, where is the evidence to prove it? Well, the steak that she ordered for lunch has bite marks in it. That's not a knife and fork mark. The steak, Miss Brett, had been eaten before the professor was killed? Yes, go on. More accurately, Your Excellency, the steak that was on the victim's table just before the professor was killed.
Now you're just splitting hairs.
Not true. Doesn't something about the steak strike you as very unnatural?
Unnatural? What on earth do you mean?
It's extremely obvious. I'm talking about the shape of the edge where it's been eaten. I see you've noticed it too, Miss Brett. Noticed what exactly, counsel? Just a few moments ago, Miss Brett claimed no Englishman could even contemplate picking up a steak and biting into it without using a knife and fork.
Of course she did. She's a refined English gentlewoman herself.
Then take a good look at the steak, in particular, the edge where it's been eaten. As you can see, there are clearly defined barbaric teeth marks there.
Ah.
Oh. Oh. It looks like Miss Brett has realized something. So, if the witness, as she claims, wouldn't contemplate eating anything without using a knife and fork, there shouldn't be teeth marks in the steak at all.
But what is your actual point? Perhaps the delightful Miss Brett was ravenously hungry and couldn't help her. Whatever you say, dear lady.
As I said, I really must be leaving now. Afternoon tea with the Minister of Justice cannot possibly wait longer.
Of course, of course. This will all be over in a blink of an eye. Rest assured, I'm about to put this rookie in his place.
I've heard enough, you irritating little spectacled samurai relic. The bird on my hat is going to eat you.
Of course. Dear lady.
What's the matter, Miss Brett? Have we ruffled your feathers? Clearly, the witness knows what this means. She's realized the catastrophic implications these teeth marks in the steak have for her. Ryunosuke, do you know where you're going with this? Yes, now at last, it's all come together. The mysterious teeth marks in a steak that had allegedly been eaten with cutlery. The reason why the bloodstain I know I saw somehow seems to have disappeared. And most importantly, the evidence that proves once and for all who shot Dr. Wilson that day. I accept those teeth marks in the steak are a little unnatural, as you put it, counsel. What exactly are you suggesting that tells us? Everything, Your Excellency.
Everything?
Yes, I believe that these barbaric teeth marks in the steak here amount to conclusive evidence in this case. Evidence that will prove beyond any doubt who shot Dr. Wilson. I mean, we could have answered this a while ago if we just asked the guy who stole the coin, did you hide the coin under your steak or her steak? Conclusive evidence. How many times have I heard that today? You wouldn't know the meaning of the phrase. Typical Japanese empty threats. How can you be so sure? Oh, it's quite simple. If you really had such conclusive evidence, you would have presented it to the court long ago. Actually, the evidence I'm talking about hasn't been brought before the court yet.
Hasn't been what?
But just because it hasn't been shown yet, doesn't mean that the evidence does not exist.
Objection!
This is absurd. The trial has run several hours already, and you say there's evidence yet to be brought forward? There can't be. I don't believe you have it.
I don't, but there is someone who does have it. Someone in this very courtroom. And if that person is willing to submit the piece of evidence I'm referring to, it will solve everything remaining in the mystery about this case. Very well. I have a feeling this will be my last request of the defense this trial. Who possesses the conclusive evidence that will reveal the truth about this whole affair? So, I have 2 penalties, and I have 2 guesses as to who this would be. It's either Satoru Hosunaga, who has the other steak that was eaten at the restaurant that day, or it's Nosa, and the evidence is testimony as to whose steak he hid it under. If it is anyone but those 2, I am going to fail. I'm going to start with Hosonaga because I feel like that's the more likely answer.
Take that!
The answer is obvious. It's Inspector Hosonaga. What? I have it? Yes. You think I've been withholding conclusive evidence? That's ridiculous. No. I'm not saying that. Everyone's attention has been focused on this steak with the teeth marks. Yes. Now, earlier this afternoon, Sergeant Nosa told the court the following. I'd enjoyed chomping my way through a good steak. And as well as admitting to stealing Korakuta-san's coin, he told us that he slipped it under the steak. You watch it, Cadet. I'm a superior officer. Sergeant Nosa, could you please confirm something for me? Was the steak that you put the coin under, in fact, your own steak? Attention! Affirmative, of course. I might be a soldier in the Imperial Nippon Army, but still. I'm not brave enough to ask a foreign gentle lady if she'd mind me manhandling her meal to hide something in it. In other words, the steak that the detective submitted as evidence earlier was in fact Sergeant Nosa's meal.
But that makes no sense. That plate was taken from the victim's table.
Yet the gentlewoman doesn't take bites out of her steak, nor did she have any opportunity to steal the coin. Of course I didn't steal it. To even suggest such a thing would be an affront to the entire British Empire. Well then, how do you explain this paradox?
Exactly. Surely you're not going to suggest that the sergeant switched the 2 steaks over.
Not the sergeant.
You did switch the plates?
Well, after it happened, when I saw the civilian murdered right in front of my eyes like that, I panicked. As I said, I immediately lifted my steak and hid the coin underneath. But then when the waiter announced he was an undercover policeman, I thought I'd had it. If he decided to investigate my slab of meat, that'd be it. I'd be getting my marching orders. Oh, he did switch it. I thought the lady switched it to hide the blood. So when the cadet here was arrested and taken off to the kitchen, I seized my chance. With military precision and timing, I switched my steak with the one on the foreign lady's table. What? You can't have. I never saw you do such a thing. It was called Operation Lightning Bolt. There was no time for strategic planning. It was do or die, I tell you. So yes, I did what had to be done.
Unbelievable!
However, fear not, Prosecutor-san. What?
Yeah.
I just did a totally different voice for him for that one.
I swear on the brass buttons of my uniform that is all I did, sir.
All you did, that's plenty, Sergeant.
So, if Sergeant knows to switch the plates over, it means he took Miss Brett's steak, and the plate it was on, back to his own table. Yeah, that follows. Inspector Hosanaga. Yes? Earlier in this trial, you told the court this. You said that you had not only taken Miss Brett's steak after that incident, but also the sergeant's. That to preserve evidence, you had taken both.
Ah.
That's correct. Then please present it to the court now. The plate that was actually on the victim's table at the precise moment he was shot. What can that possibly tell us now? I mean, a cold slab of tough meat. It can't have the slightest bearing on the case. No, you're not wriggling your way out of this one, lady. I beg your pardon? Surely you're not that forgetful. Surely you remember the reason why the steak pan promises to prove such a problem for you, no? You're the ones who decided it was a problem, not me. The reason the defense asked you to see that plate was to confirm something the defendant remembers seeing. Things he remembers. I'm quite sure of what I saw, Miss Brett. On the side of the plate that was on the table directly behind Mr. Wilson, there was a clear spattering of blood from the gunshot wound to the victim's plate. I believe the defendant's memory serves him well. And now we have the evidence to prove it. The plate you were eating from, Miss Brett. Let us not prolong this any further. Inspector, you will show the evidence to the court. Present the beefsteak and plate that was originally on the victim's table at the time of the incident. Yes, sir. Sorry for keeping you. Here's the other steak and its plate. Please feel free to examine it. Blood.
Yes!
Now this makes everything clear. The blood you can see on the side of the plate shows that at the moment the victim was shot, he was facing the table with his back to me. In other words, it's impossible for Naruhodo-san to have shot the victim. Oh!
It can't be.
In fact, there's only one person who could possibly have shot Dr. Wilson from the front. I'm sure everyone knows by now who that person is. Oh. That's right, Miss Jezali Brett. It's you! Did the swan on her head just die? Outdone by a Japanese? Me? By a Japanese schoolboy? No, no, no! Are those baby chicks coming out of her hat? How many birds are in this woman's hat? Excuse me? What is happening? Oh my god. Please, excuse my little outburst. I briefly lost my composure. How un-English of me. I predicted it.
Most unbecoming behavior for an English gentlewoman. Forgive me. Well, Miss Brett, I think it's time you told the court what actually happened that day. The truth this time. Gladly, Your Excellency. It was I who took the professor's life using curare. As you surmised, I chose that particular day for one very important reason. The professor had a dental appointment for the extraction of one of his teeth in the morning. So he planned to kill the professor, knowing that no trace of poison would be found in his water. Because curare is unheard of here in Japan. Yes. Of course, I never intended to remain at the restaurant for as long as I did. I only needed to see the professor take one tiny sip of water, and it would be over. I would place the steak I had ordered in front of him to make it appear as though he had been dining alone and leave immediately. However, before any of that happened, there was an unexpected visitor at the professor's table. That would be me, I suppose. Yes, you. Who else? Such a trifling matter, but the fact that you decided to come over to greet the professor meant that I had lost my chance to slip away unnoticed. In due course, the professor took a sip of his water and was paralyzed. I made sure he was sitting in his chair such that he wouldn't fall. There was no going back at that point, so I concocted a plan spur of the moment. A plan to pin Dr. Wilson's murder on the innocent man. I happened to know that the professor always carried a gun. I decided to use that fact to my advantage. I had the bottle of curare in my handbag, and my own pistol concealed under my skirt.
Under your skirt?
So I was right, there were two guns. Yes. And then I finished my coffee and got up to leave. That's when I noticed the professor's gun, which you had presumably placed on the floor. Placed where you were sure that I would notice it. And everything went according to plan. You noticed the gun as I'd intended. And then, just as you bent down to pick it up, that's when you shot the professor with your own gun. Even though at that point, he was already dead. Naturally, the gunshot caused a commotion, at which point the waiter appeared. Obviously, I assumed Naruhodo-san was the culprit and apprehended him. I took him to the pantry that adjoins the kitchen and locked him inside. That's when I took the opportunity to turn the professor and his chair around. Because of course, you needed to make it look like the defendant had shot Dr. Wilson from where he'd picked up the gun. So there you have it. That is the entirety of my misdemeanor. I mean, I don't know if Japan does the whole misdemeanor felony thing. This is probably a felony. Your Excellency? Yes? I wonder. Might I speak with you in private later? I shall call on you. Thank you. Good day then, everyone. I hope you can forgive me, Naruhodo-san. I mean, you did try to frame us for murder. I don't think that's happening. It would seem. This trial has finally run its course. I presume the prosecution is in agreement?
This can't be. Taketsuchi Aouchi does not lose. Not to the likes of this rookie student.
You'd better start getting used to tough opposition.
Arg! Ryunosuke Naruhodo.
What? Yes?
This insult to the Aouchi family name will never be forgotten.
Get used to it, dude. You and your descendants are gonna have a real rough go of it as lawyers. You've become conceited with age, counsel. But the old have to stand aside and make way for the new. He just has a sword in the courtroom. It's the way of the world. May you never forget that. A thousand millennia may pass, and still the Aouchi clan will never measure up to the Naruhodo clan. This is the origin story. This is why that one prosecutor loses every case in the rest of the series. What's his name? I honestly don't remember. This trial, in the Supreme Court of Japan, will, I believe, go down in history. It's the start of a new chapter in our country's judicial system. This secret trial where the public were not welcome. And it's all police and military personnel. Famously, people who love to talk about things for history's preservation's sake. Despite being summoned as the accused, you, Ryunosuke Naruhodo, presented an excellent case. I thank you, Your Excellency. The use of evidence and deduction to unravel the truth is a modern methodology. After all, it has only been a few short decades since our country opened its doors to the wider world. But the Western ideas of science are rapidly gaining acceptance here. I feel sure that science will soon bring new methods of investigation and new procedures of justice. A new future of law awaits. But what it will look like, I cannot begin to imagine. That is for the young to pursue. Kazuma Asogi. Yes? After this trial, you are set to embark on a journey of discovery to the illustrious British Empire. Learn all you can. Absorb everything of the wider world that you are able to. And do not forget to fulfill the mission imposed upon you. I understand, Your Excellency. What was that about? Why do you look so grave all of a sudden? Never mind. As for you, Ryunosuke Naruhodo. Oh, yes? In you, I sense, how can I put it, unusual potential. I very much look forward to seeing how you carry that onwards. Thank you, Your Excellency. Okay, we do get the not guilty verdict, I was wondering. It is time to deliver the final verdict. I hereby find the defendant, Ryunosuke Naruhodo, not guilty. Yay! This court is now adjourned. But why did she kill him? Is that going to be like the running thing for this game? Or like one of the open questions that gets answered in like case 5 or 4 or whatever? I can't believe it. I can't believe what's happened. I made it. I defended myself and made it through that horrendous trial. Ryunosuke, you finally pulled it off. Congratulations. Well, I couldn't have done it without you. Thank you, Kazuma. Ha 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 ha. No. It was a pleasure to watch you at work. So you owed me an extra large sukiyaki from the place on Yume University Street. Don't forget. Good afternoon, all your hard work has certainly paid off. I don't know who this is, so I'll wait to do the voice. Congratulations to both of you for proving Noromoto-san's innocence. My voice does not go high-pitched very well. Oh boy. Ah, our trusty judicial assistant. You worked hard for that result too, you know. Oh no, I didn't do anything. Thank you so much. If we hadn't had that research report of Miss Brett's, I don't know how that thing would have turned out. Our kind words should really be for my father. I was simply doing as he asked. It was his idea for me to go to the university and investigate. Your father? Ah, yes, of course. Forgive me for intruding on court proceedings, Your Excellency. Susato Mikatoba, Judicial Assistant to the Defense. Speaking of Mikatoba. Ah, there you are. Naruhodo. You did an excellent job. Thank you, Professor. Oh no, it is I who should be thanking you. After all, your efforts exposed the true criminal that took the life of my good friend. Good friend? Oh yes, you mentioned that before. It was you who actually invited Dr. Wilson to Yume University, wasn't it? Yes, that's right. Professor Mikatoba studied overseas himself. He went to study forensic medicine in Great Britain. Presumably, that's when you met Dr. Wilson. Exactly. In those days, we worked together in the same hospital. Oh, you worked together? I've never heard you mention that before. Well, it was a long time ago now. Besides, it's your turn, Asugi. Great Britain is a magnificent country. It leads the world. In science, medicine, engineering, culture, and of course, in law. Watch and learn, my boy. See what's happening in the world's largest melting pot. Was that not America at this point in history? Like, I want to know when in history this is supposed to have taken place. It might say it somewhere. I just don't know. I will. I'll learn all that I can. I swear on this, the spirit of the Asogi clan. You're not taking that sword to Great Britain, are you? Of course I am. A Japanese man's katana is his soul. The blade shows me where I need to go. So this was before customs was a thing? Or even banning the carrying of weapons into a country, presumably. It cuts down anything in my way. Yes, I've definitely seen how sharp it is already with my own eyes. That reminds me, what happened to the woman? To Jesselie Brett, I mean. After all, she's guilty of murder. Oh yes, her. It's not easy to tell you this, but... What do you mean? Surely she's going to face trial herself now. She's the true culprit, after all. She will be leaving Japan in the very near future, for Shanghai. What? Shanghai? Jesselie Brett will not appear in court again in this country. I'm sure of that. What? But why not? It's a matter of consular jurisdiction. Inspector Hosonaga? It was a hard-fought battle in the courtroom today. Very impressive to watch. I must congratulate. But what's all this about consular jurisdiction?
We cannot try this particular foreigner for her crimes here in Japan. What? We can't try her? But then who? Who's going to bring her to justice? A British consular court will hear her case, somewhere far away where our voices can't be heard. Why a consular court? Professor, I simply don't understand. I thought consular courts were a thing of the past now that we've signed the Friendship Treaty. Yes, in normal circumstances, you're right. Then, so long as this is not a serious incident of a highly political nature to our respective governments, they can't invoke a consular court just like that. Oh, can't they? Yes, she's a student, but it just doesn't justify our governments making secret agreements about her fate, does it? Something strange is going on. So Miss Brett can't be held accountable for her actions here in Japan. I'm afraid the young student. Today's trial was nothing more than a game all along. There was never any danger of comeuppance for her. I don't believe it. The British government's Foreign Affairs Ministry has demanded that we hand over custody of Miss Brett. They're obviously taking this case of a foreign student committing murder very seriously. But it's all gonna change from now on. We can make it change. This is a time of great turmoil. This new era heralded by the start of the 20th century. Okay, so it's like 1900s to maybe 1920s, something like that. One day I have no doubt that woman will receive the judgment she deserves. Yes, change is coming, and we're the ones driving it. Well, I think that's enough seriousness for now. This evening calls for a celebratory drink. But Professor... You're right, this is no time for gloomy faces. We should be celebrating Ryunosuke's not guilty verdict. Let's start having some fun. In that case, might I suggest La Carnival? As the head waiter, I should be delighted to provide you with ample food and drink. You're a detective, Hosonaga-san, aren't you? Let's not worry about details for now. To La Carnival, will you accompany us, Professor? Of course. La Carnival's food is second to none. I shall go and attend to the paperwork for no voters on the release. Oh yes, thank you. Wait, if she has to do the paperwork for our release, can't we just, like, not go freely anywhere? So Jessie Brett won't be tried here. I suppose that means I'll never know. I'll never find out why she killed Dr. Wilson. Kazuma. Yes, Ryunosuke. Just wanted to say thanks again, that's all. You really saved my skin today. Ha 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 ha. I didn't do a thing. You were the lawyer in there, weren't you? That defense was all your own work. Your skills made the difference, though. One day, I bet you'll be the best lawyer in the world. He's definitely gonna die in trial, too. I'm not sure about that. To be honest, something kept occurring to me over and over again during that trial. I couldn't help thinking that maybe you're the one destined to become a great lawyer, not me. What? Come on, be serious. If I helped you today, it was only right at the very start of the trial. But you had a natural talent for it. For being a defense lawyer, I mean. Oh no, not me. All that tense verbal combat? I never want to go through that ever again. I
I did what you told me to do, that's all, because I knew I could trust you. That's the point. Sorry? What do you mean, that's the point? Listen, Ryunosuke. Do you know what the most crucial weapon is that any lawyer needs in order to win? Knowledge of the law? No. The ability to believe. To believe? To believe what? A defense lawyer has to fight for his clients. He has to believe in them at all times. Like you believed in me when I said I didn't do it. I'm human, just like you. I don't have some superhuman ability to know the truth. But you have to make a choice about what to believe in, and stick to it when you're defending someone. Sometimes in the courtroom you can be really backed into a corner. But being able to remain faithful to what you chose to believe in even then. Well, it's not something that anyone can do. It takes a special kind of person. Believing in your client. Just look at today's trial. I'm a student lawyer with precious little real experience, but you never stop believing in me. Well, you face seemingly hopeless situations time and time again, but you never stop looking for the truth. And in the end, you found it. Through your own efforts, and because you never stopped believing in me. Thanks, Kazuma. There's something I want to ask you, actually, Ryunosuke. Well, it's a favor, really. Something very important to me. Sounds serious. What is... Oh, you're still here, are you? Oh, Inspector Hosonaga. I've arranged some rickshaws for us. Let's go. Thank you. We'll be right there. Let's pick up this conversation again later. We should be celebrating right now. Your first court victory. And your study tour to Great Britain, don't forget. Yes, that too. So my very first trial came to an end. Kazuma. Professor Mikotoba. Susato-san, who acted as my assistant. Inspector Hosonaga, who didn't really play much of a part, but still. It was because of the help and support of all of these people that I managed to get through that trial. But more importantly, Kazuma hadn't yet managed to ask his favor of me. Little did I realize just how much it would change my life. And that is the first trial. I think that's the longest first trial in any of these games I've ever experienced. Like, there were 3 parts. I mean, I haven't played any of the 3DS Ace Attorney games, so maybe those are longer. But in most of the ones I've played, like, it's usually just 1-part trial, or maybe a 2-part trial. No, I think it's even then it's usually 1-part trials. There's not like save points in the middle. Oh, that's cool. You can just play the episodes in any order, it looks like. So we got time. Let's start episode 2. The Adventure of the Unbreakable Speckled Band. That looks like the Titanic. While this is like playing, I'm gonna Google what year this takes place in.
In a corner of that small, dark room, Sholmes and I waited with bated breath. In time, there came from the ventilator a hiss and a soft, almost growl-like sound. Suddenly, Sholmes sprang into action, lashing furiously with his cane at a point in the darkness. "You see it, Wilson," he yelled. his tense voice reverberating through the air. I raised my dark lantern shutter, and the room slowly came into view. Sholmes was staring intently at one particular corner when he started whispering to me. The victim's most perplexing final words. The Speckled Band. I believe this is the terrible coil to which you referred, Wilson. In front of us was an enormous adder, its fangs bared as it threatened to strike. It truly was the most terrible speckled band I had ever seen.
So then, let us unravel this mystery and discover what events led to this curious murder. Pray, do excuse me. The cabin door was bolted from the inside when the man was killed. No marks to suggest the bolt was tampered with in any way. So, this would appear to be a locked room mystery. In his final moments, the victim scrawled a message on the floor. Almost certainly with the ink from this upset bottle. A Russian word. So the victim was a Russian man then. And the letters are well formed, suggesting he was compos mentis at the time. This is a most extraordinary script. And evidently not penned by the same hand as this message. In fact, I deduce it was written by someone of a different nationality. This paper seal was placed just prior to the incident, by the victim himself, I would venture. Well, what have we here?
Who are you, and what do you think you're doing here?
No one must touch before maritime police come. We must wait!
Shh. That won't be necessary. You see, in less than 5 seconds from now, I will reveal the killer to you.
What? Don't be absurd. This is murder. An cabin locked from inside.
Ah yes, the locked room. But that mystery is paper thin.
You don't mean the culprit is in there?
Who are you, and where have you come from?
I'm a great British consultant detective, the only one in the world. Sherlock Sholmes. I presume you must have heard of me.
Sherlock Sholmes. Okay, so this just says like Great Ace Attorney takes place towards the end of the 19th century and the dawn of the 20th century, the Meiji period and the Victorian era. In Japan, it's the Meiji period. In Britain, it's the Victorian era. My head is throbbing. What's going on? Something's not right here. There's trouble in the air. Wait, I can't move. Ah, what the? Why am I in handcuffs? So you wake up now, We had to drag you out of the wardrobe. Da, I do not believe how you could not wake up. You are a true cold-blooded man. You found me then. Da, we found you, and now you pay. Criminal. How long are you hiding in that tiny wardrobe, sorry. Now you have been found, it's time to admit your crimes, unless you want to find out how cold the ocean is, No, I'll tell you everything. There's only one thing I'd like to know from you. Why did you do it? Why did you take his life? Miss Usato? Wait, what did you just say? Take his life? Where is he? Where's Kazuma? I knew it! Ah, you pretend you do not know? You are a wolf in sheep's pelt. You are the killer. Do not try to make excuses. What? Kazuma-san's body was discovered not long ago. Here, in this very cabin, that was bolted shut from the inside. His body? Please, do not try to tell us you were doing this terrible thing in your sleep. Kazuma's dead, but he can't be. In these handcuffs, surely you don't think I have to know. Why did you take Kazuma-sama's life? Answer me, please. No. No. Kazuma. It was just 2 short weeks ago. Are you sure about this? Won't we get in trouble? Ha 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 ha. Don't you find it fun being a stowaway? Besides, how else could you come to England with me to study? It was really something else when they brought your luggage in here earlier, though. The way that Russian crewman just tossed your traveling case onto the floor. I thought I was gonna die. Yes, I still can't quite believe that. I really didn't think you'd be able to fit inside my trunk. You must be even less of a man than you look. Hey, honestly, I thought I'd broken every bone in my body. Well, it's about 50 days till we dock in Great Britain, but if you confine yourself to my cabin here, I don't expect anyone will discover you. Ugh, I hope not. I get the feeling those Russians wouldn't be very forgiving of a stowaway. They're a sturdy bunch, that's for sure. What I want to know is, why do we need to keep it a secret from the young lady? From our faithful judicial assistant Mikotoba, you mean? From your close friend, more to the point. Excuse me. Surely we could confide in her, couldn't we? I don't believe she'd give me away. No, but if she knew what we'd done, that would make her guilty by association. It's best that only you and I know about this. I suppose so. Anyway, it's about the time the steward is supposed to come and clean the cabin. I know it's cramped, but you better get in there, I think. It won't be for long. And anyway, compared to hiding inside my traveling case, it'll be a breeze. Yes, but what if the steward decides to open the wardrobe for some reason? Then I'll be in for it. Stop worrying. I tell you what, why don't you write "keep out" or something on this piece of paper? What? Then I can stick it over the wardrobe doors once you're inside. I don't know. I mean, wouldn't it be better for Kazuma to write it? Like, I mean, not like they're gonna check the handwriting. We've only been at sea for about 15 days. How can this have happened? We were supposed to be going on this adventure to England together. We leave you at the next port. Stay quiet until then. Don't make more trouble for yourself. Murderer. No, I'm not a murderer. Da, you said before. You said you admit everything about your crimes. No, that's not right. I mean, yes, I did stow away on the ship, but murdering my best friend? No one else could have done it. Admit the truth. Susato-san, please tell me what happened. I need to know. Very well. But there is something I would like to ask of you too. Those eyes. She looks like she's ready to destroy me. This nightmare is getting worse by the minute. I suppose all I can do is try to find out what really happened. Kazuma's death. He really has been killed, hasn't he? This isn't just a bad dream. And these handcuffs, they think I did it? They think I'm Kazuma's killer? When they found him, the cabin was locked from the inside. What do you mean? There's no access to the cabin via portable window. And the bolt on the door can't be operated from the outside. In other words, after the crime, the culprit couldn't have escaped these four walls. What? Or to put it another way, the culprit can only have been somebody inside this cabin. Or do you have some other explanation? This is impossible. How did he die then? What happened exactly? Are you still going to deny the charge, even despite the circumstances? Please, Susato-san, you have to tell me. Cause of death is still undetermined. They don't know how he died. The ship's doctor is examining the body, but of course he has no post-mortem analysis experience. I don't suppose we shall learn more until an expert has been consulted at our next port of call. Oh god, I picked a very high voice to do for a recurring character. You can see the remnants of the glue we used to stick this over the wardrobe doors, although it wasn't proper glue, of course. We didn't have any of that with us, so I pulverized some rice into a paste to use instead. But to a stowaway like me, every single grain of rice represents precious rations. That's why I spread it as thinly as I possibly could. I couldn't bear to waste any. So presumably that means there was no obvious external signs of injury then? That's true, yes. Can't anyone tell me what actually happened here in this cabin? I don't understand it. Why would anyone want to kill Kazuma? Presumably that's something you know the answer to better than anyone. Please. Whatever you say, you were here in the cabin after all. Well, yes, I was, but... He would always wake before dawn and do his training first thing in the morning. I was waiting outside his cabin as I have every day so far on this voyage. But this morning he did not come. I could sense that he wouldn't. Does that mean he was already dead when Susato-san arrived at his cabin door, I wonder? I knocked, but there was no reply. And I started to become worried, so I went to find a member of the crew. The crewman forced the cabin door open, and when we managed to get inside. There was Kazuma-sama, collapsed on the floor. And the white tape there now shows exactly where it was found, I suppose. I had no idea anything had happened. I must have been asleep in the wardrobe somehow. I wish it wasn't the case, but this is very hard to believe. This is all very hard for me to believe too, trust me.
Now I've told you everything that I know. Now it's my turn to ask you a question. Yes, alright. My head feels so heavy, it's still throbbing like anything. Stowaway. Are you even on board this ship? No, Sama. Son. You said something before about being a stowaway, didn't you? Oh yes, I'm afraid that's true. It's 2 weeks since we left Japan now, and I've been shut up in this cabin the entire time. I had no idea. But how could you have occupied Cosmo-sama's cabin for so long without him noticing? No. That would have been impossible, obviously. Yes, of course. Kazuma invited me. He wanted us to go to England together. He actually asked you? But why? I'm afraid I don't really know the reason myself. I don't understand. Kazuma, why do you want this? What's the real reason? Why go to such extreme lengths to smuggle me to England with you? It's an idea that's been on my mind ever since the end of that incredible trial. I think I told you then, didn't I? You ought to become a lawyer yourself. Well, yes, you did say that, but I didn't think you were serious. You have a talent for it, I can assure you of that. But I've never really thought about becoming a lawyer. Well, that's something you can decide for yourself. London is at the spearhead of cultural development, the center of the world in many ways. There can't be any harm in seeing such an important place with your own eyes, can there? Well, no, definitely not. But on a personal level. If you were to become a lawyer, then what? Nothing. Forget it. Kazuma-sama, he was always saying the same thing. That he wanted to change the Japanese legal system. Perhaps he thought that he could do that with you. Yes, maybe. But something's still bothering me a little. The look in his eyes then. It was darker than I've ever seen it before. Susato-san. I'm sorry that we kept it a secret from you by stowing away on the ship, I mean. If I know Cosmo-sama, I expect he was trying to protect me, to avoid me becoming guilty by association. That's exactly right, yes. Word perfect, in fact. Last night. If you're not the culprit, then tell me. What happened last night here in this cabin? Well, the thing is, I don't really remember. Kazuma brought me something to eat just like he always did. And then I got myself over there, into that wardrobe over there, just like I always did. After that, I fell asleep? Well, yeah. So deeply that you didn't even stir when Kazuma-sama was killed? Well, yes. I know it sounds unbelievable, really I do, but it's the truth. If only I'd woken up, then perhaps I wouldn't be in this predicament. And for some reason, my head's still throbbing like anything. Really? Is something wrong? Oh, no, it's... Please, forget it. Susato-san, you have to believe me, I didn't do it. I really don't want to doubt you. But the trouble is, there's no one else who could possibly have done this. Ugh. Kazuma, I don't understand why. Why did this have to happen? Arg, I can't take this. Don't try to go anywhere. You're the perpetrator of this crime. You can't leave. Can't allow that to happen. I'm sorry. Kazuma was killed right under my nose here, and I didn't do anything to stop it. And now I'm supposed to just sit around?
My hands tied while whoever did this walks free? No, I can't allow that to happen. Well, what do you propose to do then? I'm going to investigate. I'm going to find out exactly what happened here. I'm going to work out who took Kazuma's life and how and why they did it. So I'm sorry, but you're going to have to excuse me.
Hiya!
What the? That was a Susato takedown. A Susato what? What martial art form is that? I'm going to need you to prove it. Sorry, prove it? Yes, your innocence. I need evidence. But how am I supposed to? Have you forgotten already what you achieved just a few weeks ago? You successfully defended yourself in a court of law. My voice didn't get deeper there, that didn't happen. Ah, I see. She's expecting me to present some conclusive evidence. I have to get Susato-san to believe me. I'll show her some evidence right now that proves I'm not guilty of this awful crime.
Yes!
Tell me, when I was discovered in the wardrobe before, was this piece of paper stuck over the doors? Oh, yes it was. I remember clearly. I thought so. Kazuma always put it in place whenever I went to sleep in there, just in case the cabin steward or another crew member decided to look inside. So naturally, he did the same last night as well. Oh, yes, of course. The gentleman who discovered you peeled that sign from the wardrobe doors before he opened them. But if I were truly the culprit, I couldn't have climbed back inside the wardrobe and stuck this on the outside of the doors on my own. Yes, that's quite true. In other words, it's impossible that I killed Kazuma. Wow, even if you are sprawled hopelessly on the floor. I can see why Kazuma-sama thought so highly of you. Thank you, Susato-san. Now do you think perhaps you could help me up? Well, in light of that evidence, I don't see any reason why I should stop you from investigating in here, at least. Thank you, so you finally believe me? I'm sorry, no. What? I'm not sure yet. I can't rule out the possibility that you use some sort of conjuring trick to put the sign back in position. What does she think I am, a magician? For now, I suggest you investigate as thoroughly as possible in here. I'll do the same. Alright, let's get to work, Susato-san. Please don't misunderstand me. I still have my doubts. Oh. I shall be watching. Make sure you do nothing that might disturb the scene. I wouldn't want you using your conjuring tricks to destroy evidence, for example. Right. Well, anyway, I should make a start on investigating in here. Examine everything I can. Kazuma, I swear, I will avenge your death. Let's examine. Did Kazuma write that before he died? It looks like it's written in ink. He must have knocked the ink pot from the desk when he collapsed on the floor. Then I suppose he wrote this message by dipping his finger in the spillage. Poor Kazuma-sama. No doubt he was in terrible pain. It's almost unbearable to imagine it. I suppose he was trying to leave some kind of a clue in his final moments, was he? I'm sorry, partner, but I can't read your writing. I mean, that looks like Russian, if anything. I don't think that's Japanese, Naruhodo-san. What? Then what language is it? It pains me to admit it, but I don't know. It's not a foreign script I'm familiar with. What does it mean, I wonder? Is that going to be added to our evidence? Oh dear, that won't do. Oh, what's the matter, Susato-san? Whenever I'm examining things, I always find myself so focused I forget to look around properly. Ah, yes, that's not good. I don't suppose yours will was me in regard to Naruhodo-san. telling me I can move left and right. I'm sure you're careful to look all around using D-pad, aren't you? Let's investigate all corners of this cabin. Yes, let's do that. I suppose my field of vision has been rather small until now. Oh, that's nice. It check marks things we've already investigated. It's a very large traveling case, isn't it? Yes, it carries a lot of memories for me. Memories? What do you mean? Well, that's actually how I stowed away on this vessel. I was brought on board inside that case. Ah, yes, I see it says this way up in Japanese. Which in hindsight, I should have realized the foreign crewman wouldn't be able to read. I was turned over and over and then I was tossed on the floor in here. Oh dear, being a stowaway isn't as romantic as it sounds. Well, it was less painful than a Susato takedown. Okay. What do you think this is? It looks like a broken piece of glassware. Whatever the thing was, it appears to have broken clean in two. The glass is such a beautiful color. It looks like a cute little Netsuke fastener from a kimono outfit. I'm not sure that sounds like Kazuma. He wouldn't have secretly carried a cute little trinket like this around with him, would he? And marked beside it, what is it, I wonder? It's a sort of brick-like hue. Yes, you're right. It's the color of brick, isn't it? Even though I don't see anything of the same color anywhere else in this cabin. That's my dinner. That's my dinner from last night. A roast chicken. It was really tasty. Yes, it was very delicious, wasn't it? But did you eat it on the floor here? I'm not a dog, Susato-san. I ate it at the table, of course. Which begs the question of when and how the plate ended up on the floor. Because Kazuma-san didn't like the chicken at all, did he? No, that's right, so he didn't touch it. Which meant all the more for me. Oh no! Does that mean poor Kazuma-san spent his last night on this earth with an empty belly? It's just too horrible. Now I suddenly have a guilty conscience and an achy stomach. Guess that knife is not any type of evidence. That's Kazuma-san's precious sword. He never went anywhere without it. Yes, he was always saying that a Japanese man's katana is his soul. I believe he had to work very hard to convince the government to allow him to bring it on this trip. I suppose that shows just how important it was to him. And now he's gone, but I'm not ready to let his spirit go just yet. Seigi, the Japanese word for justice. The brushstrokes are straight and true, just like Kazuma. Yes, his calligraphy always was a reflection of his heart. Yet you, can you really look at those characters and not feel ashamed, knowing you drew them so thoughtfully? Of course I can. I mean, I'm innocent, so why shouldn't I be able to? Even though you stowed away on this ship? Now you're gonna bring that up, are you? I can't win. Perhaps I should see what the Russian crewman makes of the scene of the crime. Excuse me. What? I was wondering how it's going, the investigation, I mean. Grandmother told me Japanese people do not make jokes, but it is not true, I see. Sorry? The criminal asking investigator for information about his crime? Very funny. Oh, it wasn't supposed to be a joke.
He doesn't appear to be laughing either. He's convinced you're guilty. You might have useful information though. I have to keep trying. So last night, did you notice anything out of the ordinary at all? Niet, of course not. Now back to corner of room and make silent. I say no more to you. Did I hit a nerve? Just for a minute there. Seemed a little flustered. Let's check out the door. I believe for help in the room and forced the door open. This bolt had been firmly closed. It's quite a small bolt and not particularly sturdy, and it just slides across to secure the door shut. But still, with the door bolted, there would be no way to get in or out of the cabin, that's for sure. No wonder everyone suspects me. When she glares at me like that, I feel tense all up and down my spine. I remember reading once in the detective novel, the culprit used a needle and thread to draw a bolt across from outside the room in a situation like this. Yes, that's a clever trick, isn't it? I'm an avid reader of detective stories myself. But the door of this cabin is frame are made of metal and they seal together perfectly. There would be no possibility of using that needle and thread trick here, I'm afraid. When she glares at me like that, I feel pins and needles all up and down my spine. So the sign? These are the rules of passage for travel aboard the SS Burya. It's essentially a list of requests from the captain to all passengers on board. Passengers must not keep weapons or other dangerous objects in their cabins. Pets are also strictly forbidden. What? Why are you staring at me? Oh, sorry. I was just thinking. Are you more of a dangerous object or a pet? I can't decide. Well, one thing's for sure. Either way, I wasn't supposed to be in here. The books have fallen over on the shelf. Look, they've all toppled over the same way. And what's this? A statue of some god of the sea? Although he's fallen over as well. Yes, it's almost as if the whole shelf has been ransacked and everything mowed down at once. I wonder if... Perhaps it was Cosmo-san doing his morning sword training, do you think? I seriously doubt it. And perhaps it was you, Naruhodo-san, in a fit of rage. I wouldn't have bothered leaving the wardrobe just to mess up a few books and a statue. Could the way these things have been thrown about have anything to do with the case, I wonder? What if there was, like, whatever boats call turbulence, and, like, all of the books slid that way, and also the bolt on the door. Well, just set everything straight. I don't like a mess. Anyway, dear Cosmo-san would have sat whenever he was writing. London Diary. Poor Cosmo, he didn't even make it to his destination. It looks as though the last entry is incomplete. Which means, what? He was in the middle of writing it when the incident happened? Let's see what it says. It could be a valuable clue. Hi-ya! That's out of the question. What? Cosmo-san may have departed this world, but you must not read his private thoughts. Well, what if it's something important? Something relevant to the case? Alright, I won't read it. Poor Cosmo-san. I don't like prying into people's personal matters either, but in this case, isn't the need for clues more important? I guess we'll just have to find a way to do that when she's not looking. Okay, anything else to investigate before I move over to the left? There's nothing on this table at all. The plate and cutlery were on the floor for some reason. Yes, it's strange. Last night when I went to sleep, I'm sure everything was still. No, wait a minute. What is it? That's funny. I can't seem to remember anything about what happened after dinner at all. So then perhaps we're responsible for what happened to Cosmos, huh? No, no, no. Okay. I think we can go this way. Okay, we inspected the desk. We inspect this thing. This is, yes, it's a bell cord contraption, I think. What do you mean, contraption? I read it about it in a book and I was studying that talked about life in Great Britain. A large house must have enough bell cords like this which you could pull to ring a bell to summon servants. Really, that sounds almost magical. Shall we give it a little try? Yes, in the interest of cultural research, obviously. I suppose nobody comes for Lily Japanese. Oh. No, I'm sure it's just that everybody is busy, that's all. I think that's some kind of opening for a ventilator. Aha, an exit for the killer. A hole through which fresh air can circulate the cabin. Isn't that a little odd? What do you mean? Oh, this ventilator, if that's what it is, looks like it must connect to the next door cabin. Yes, it would appear to, you're right. But if its purpose is to allow fresh air into the room, surely it should be connected to the outside. That's true. Perhaps it's so that the rain and spray don't find their way in when the seas are rough or something like that. I suppose maybe that's it. Who's that? He wasn't there a minute ago. Or I can tell it looks like he might be European. Oh, how did he? You've noticed the man too, have you? I have no idea who he is or how he got in here, but he looks suspicious and tall. Suspiciously tall. No, Hodo-san, don't tell me. Do you really not know who that is? Well no, I don't have any foreign friends or acquaintances at all. He doesn't look like a member of the crew. There's something very unusual about him. And is he investigating Kazuma's desk or is he just playing on it? I can't tell. Well, in that case, we simply must talk with him. Am I just imagining it, or does Susato-san look almost uncontrollably excited? Oh, the way I expected I noticed already. But just in case, if you press X on people while they're in the crosshairs, you can converse with them. Alright then, I'll get that suspiciously tall gentleman in my sights and see what he has to say for himself. Oh, please do. Let's examine. I do also want to check out the dresser. It's been 2 weeks since we set sail from Japan. Have you really been living in that wardrobe the entire time, Naruhodo-san? I think living isn't quite the right description. Oh no, I suppose not. Well, it's been rather exciting making this voyage in your own secret hideout. The trouble was I never knew when a member of the crew might come in. So yes, I did basically have to live in the wardrobe. And last night was no exception. Because of that, you had no idea what was happening out here in the cabin? No, sadly not. Excuse me. Excuse me, do you have a moment? Shh. This is a critical point in my investigation. Maybe I should leave him alone. He seems a little unfriendly. Yes, perhaps that would be for the best. Greetings.
I didn't get to read the rest of that. Ah.
What exactly were you doing on Cosmo's desk just now?
Oh, I see. Fascinating.
Sorry? What do you see? I feel like he's looking right through me.
Ah, yes. Everything is clear now. The train of reasoning has run its course. My deductions have crystallized. You have been in Afghanistan, I perceive. Just recently returned, if I'm not mistaken.
Sorry? What? Was Afghanistan even a country at this point in history? Or I might be thinking of one of the other ones.
And now, whilst venturing toward foreign climes, you find yourself in a most troubling predicament.
I can't do my Cockney British voice, it just turns into other voices. Oh, well that's true at least.
But how? How the deuce did I know that, perhaps? It was really a most elementary deduction, hardly worth explaining.
Well, you perhaps managed to deduce anything else.
But of course, a great many things. There is no mystery, my dear madam. For example, you have led your native land of Russia, being as you are a merciless revolutionary, you are. You leave 16 victims of assassination in your wake, and now travel to England to blow up the Crystal Tower. And when the furibund occupant of this very cabin discovered your identity, you ended his life too. Yes, I believe that summarizes the facts beautifully. No need to hide the truth now. Nothing deceives these eyes.
Nothing gets past you, huh? Or, just to be clear, you are talking about me, are you?
Certainly I am. Do you see another in this cabin who fits the bill? A Russian assassin with 16 victims to his name?
I don't even see one person who fits that bill.
So it's true. It was you who did this to Conclusive.
What?
Hey, you're plotting a revolution too? It's shameful behavior, never homicide, absolutely wicked.
No, listen, there's no way
Hiya! Now explain yourself, tell me everything.
This is ridiculous. I agree.
How could you do it?
For pity's sake, open your eyes. I'm not a Russian revolutionary, obviously.
Oh, forgive me.
Also, why would a Russian revolutionary be on the run? I guess it depends on when in history this was, because the Russian Revolution was like the 1920s, I think, right? If it's taking place after 1920, revolutionaries should not have to worry. They would happen to be, I think, in the winning position at that point. And as for you, what kind of deduction was that? You were just saying the first thing that came into your head.
Ah, but was I not right? Whilst venturing towards foreign climes, you do find yourself in a most troubling predicament, do you not?
Well, yes, maybe.
Ah, there you have it, you see. What do you make of that, hmm?
Well, to be honest, this ship is en route to England, and I'm in handcuffs at the scene of a murder. So, I'm not really sure you could call it deduction. It's more plain observation. Indeed, an observation, my dear boy, is the basis of all deduction. My method is founded upon the observation of trifles, you see. I announce my findings with a brassy certitude. And more often than not, I'm right. Ha! I don't think you introduced yourself. Ah, my apologies. How remiss of me. I am none other than the greatest detective of the century, known to men and women the world over. The inimitable Sherlock Holmes. So it's really you, the actual Sherlock Holmes. The very same. The inimitable actual Sherlock Holmes. Do you know this man, Susada-san? The most famous detective in the world? Of course I do. Nobody else has heard of him. What planet have I been living on then? We must ask him what he deduced. You have worked out the entire case already, I'm sure. Really? Why do I feel uneasy about this? So I'm actually going to go ahead and save and call it a night here. I will be back on Wednesday for some more Persona. And this Saturday I may be back also. We shall see. Until then, though, I will see you next time.